discussing before we go into our meeting on next Tuesday. But if you will bow with me, I will open us in prayer. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this day that you've allowed us to come out and do the business of our city. Thank you for each elected official that is here. We pray that you will be with us as we make decisions on behalf of our citizens. Help us to make wise and smart decisions, and help us to be able to work through these issues in a way that will be pleasing to you. Thank you for each citizen of Columbus and what they mean to our city. Thank you for the folks who are attending today as we try to gather information to move our city forward. Thank you for your many blessings, and I name we pray. Amen. We've got the agenda, council, in front of us. We've got about 4 or 5 topics we wanted to kind of discuss today. But I also wanted to, one thing that's not on here that people have asked about that I wanted to mention is we've been getting some questions about where we are with our potential redistricting and annexation. And Chris Watson, who was with Bridge and Watson, who was doing the work for us, they have been, over the last several months, meeting with department heads, gathering information from Columbus Light and Water, gathering information from our CFO. And Chris is at a point now where he would like to come back and report to the council. He has requested that he come to us on Tuesday, and because that there are issues that could, in most cases with this work, would require litigation, he has asked that he report to us in executive session. So everybody will know that Mr. Watson will be here Tuesday and is on the agenda to speak to us in executive session. All right. Council, do y'all have any comments or thoughts before we move forward? All right. If not, we will start with the bridge repair change order. And Mr. Stafford will come forward and update the council on this.
Cody, Mayor, Council, good morning.
Good morning.
So I have a lot of paper for y'all that I'll hand out. So what I'm doing now, kind of briefly talk through what this is. Y'all already aware of it. We talked about it in the past. This kind of memorializes everything in numbers and writing, but it's several moving parts that all tie together. And it's in those boxes that don't get wrapped up on things. There's a couple extra copies for Daniel June as well. So I know y'all seen this. We met last week to kind of memorialize a few things that are moving to pull all this together. So what this is about is part of y'all's final settlement with Maloof was the city was going to cover any costs of any crane. The original plan was to use the port crane. The port, as y'all know, got extremely busy, and while they were willing, they weren't willing any time of the day. And of course, they don't have to work that in, and there's a cost associated with it. Maloof been talking with the port and looking at how often they would need their heavy-duty crane. They already had a 100-ton crane in the job for 4 months. And talking with the port, the cost was going to, and they were going to incur there to use their crane at the beginning and the end for some of the more major lifts, and twice in the middle. They decided it was more cost-effective for them just to get rid of their 100-ton crane, bring in a 200-ton crane that they would need and use for the entire job, which would be for 6 months. So what I put before you are a few things. First off, this first page that you see with the colors on it kind of takes 3 different parts and ties it all together. The bottom line is the overall change order we're talking about is $59,032. But that ties in the 3 different things I want to cover. The very next page back behind that is just a change order for Maloof's contract. So what this does is memorialize the use of that crane. So you'll see in there a cost of using a 200-ton crane for 6 months, and then a reduction for the lack of 4 months of a 100-ton crane, and the associated cost of an operator and fuel and bonds and insurances that go along with that, for a total change order of $111,032. With that, they also have some time changes, obviously the time to mobilize the crane in and out, to find a crane that was available, costs and days as well. Now, having said that, it moves their end date contractually, but they still want to be done by the end of May. So that doesn't change anything from a time constraint standpoint, but they said while we're here, we want to memorialize that. So as y'all know, the crane's already here, it's already in place. This memo that was put together back in September basically memorialize those changes. The other things that have come about, and first off, I understand that $111,000 is sitting out there for the city to cover was not part of the settlement overall. So, but with that, the next piece behind it is it's part of the settlement. We also had some costs that we had to guess on. The project had not been settled, it had been designed, and at the end of the day, we also had to do some oversight. We're far enough into the job now where we know what's left to be done. And so our fees were hourly not to exceed $90,000, and we're at a point now where we basically are going to only spend probably in about $55,000. So we're giving y'all a credit back of $30,000 for this construction. So that 111 gets reduced by 30,000 because we don't see us needing that fee. And so we want to also, we're going to put before y'all for Tuesday a supplemental agreement to reduce our fees by $30,000. And then going back to the first page again, the very last piece you see in green, the line item 10 and 11 are paint and electrical allowances that as part of the agreement with Maloof, although it was not in their contract, it was in your settlement agreement, those two allowances of $12,000 and $10,000 they don't believe they're going to use. And so they want to go ahead and give that back to the city and say, hey, we were going to use the sub anyhow, we'll give you those fees back if you will, you have to put them back in your coffers to use because they were part of the settlement, but not part of their contract, which is why they're not part of the change order. So you couple all three of those in for that full Delta change order of $59,032. And so with that, all right, where's the money? So in talking with Jim, the money y'all have has accrued some interest, but not enough to cover the bogey yet. I think y'all are about, Jim, please correct me if I'm wrong, about $20,000 shy right now of that, but by the end of the project, y'all should incur enough interest to cover the delta. And so what we hope this does, obviously it covers the crane use and anything that comes in under right now. So for instance, they put in 6 months for the crane use, but they said if everything goes well, they could project out and only use it for 5 months. They only use it for 5, they'll credit you that back as well. And of course, the associated costs that go with it. So the what if, or better case, this is a worst case scenario. The better case scenario, your delta instead of 59 would actually be closer to 29,000, which you do have money to cover that. So I say all this to say that right now this memorializes and gives Maloof the comfort to move forward to the change order, gets their contract all back square, and then of course the money will be there to cover that, and then we will do another change order at the end if they need it for less time to add money back to the project. Again, I know that's quick, and there's a lot of moving parts to that, but be glad to answer any questions.
Council, do you have any questions?
As an update, I know we get a monthly update from the contractor, which we had earlier this week. We also get a Monday morning email of what's going on. They're out there driving piles. They've actually removed some metal from the 1920s construction this past week and a half. They've actually have the first casing in place to drive. They'll have 8 casings, 4 on each side of the existing pile, which they'll use temporarily to lift up the bridge and hold it in place, but they'll also be a part of the final design or final structure as well. And so Joe and I are working on something to try to put a picture, because it's underwater, you can't see it. We're going to try to put a picture to it for the public so they can kind of understand how this construction process is going to go. But they truly hope by the end of December, all 8 piles should be in place. And kind of the way they told us is at this point, the only unforeseens are what's on the bottom of the river, and they think they've hit the worst part of that. And for as far as they can tell, the unforeseen is what makes me nervous. And so they said they see a time issue because they've had to clean up some, but they don't see a cost incurrence because of that. And so at the end of the day, right now, I'm thinking this may be our only change order moving forward as I knock on this faux wood here. But progress-wise, they are making good progress. And again, they still hope that by the end of May, they would be complete.
So we still on schedule?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you.
And while I've got you, and it's not on the agenda, I'm gonna put in y'all's boxes. Y'all should have received emails on the paving update. I brought 2 copies for everybody, but I won't bombard you with more paper right now. I'll just put it in your box. Thank y'all.
Jamie, did you have something?
All right, you want me to do that real quick, Mayor?
Yeah.
Okay. What we've done since the last time we've met is met with Light and Water. They've gone through, they have no roads, no water lines that they plan on upgrading. However, what you will see on your list, and I'm going to use Ward 1 since it's on top here, you'll see a category that we added over here. There's a 2-inch water line that's present. That just tells you that there's an old undersized water line under that road. However, talking to Light and Water, they said their standard operating procedures these days, one, they're not looking to replace them right now. Two, if they do, a lot of them, they actually intercept behind the curb and run the new line, 6-inch line behind the curb, no longer in the street, and they abandon the line that's in the street. So for that reason, they don't anticipate having to tear up any roads for water line replacement. So I said, in that case, then I'm not removing any roads off your list for consideration based on that. Now, that doesn't mean during the paving process that a old 2-inch water line might not erupt. We've seen it before. We hope it doesn't. One thing we've done to mitigate that is we no longer, on these streets that have the 2-inch water line present, we no longer allow the vibratory to be run on the roller as they're putting down the asphalt, because that vibrates the ground and can shake that 2-inch water line loose. We can't help the milling. The milling is what it is. It's going to create vibration, but we can't help from the putting it back down. So we hope that helps mitigate that. Just so you understand why we added that category. The only other category we added is in the far left column. If it is a deferred street from our 2020 paving process, we just put an X out there so you can see it was on the list last time and has been carried over. So y'all know what's old and what's new. So I'd be glad to answer any questions on that. And the only other thing, and again, y'all have this hopefully in your inbox as well. The very front sheet shows how much each ward has. After we pull out the shared streets, each ward's going to have $933,000 to spend per ward. And so we're asking now that y'all just narrow down your list to that inside of that priority funding limit. So each street right now cost is pulled out for. Of that, $780,000 of your overall budget is the shared street portion. So if you took that out and put it back in, you would have been getting more than $1 million per ward. I know we had that conversation last time, and I told y'all that was strictly construction dollars, so I pushed it all back in so you can kind of see how that works. So anyhow, any questions?
Yeah, do we? Go ahead.
I'm done.
Do we have a time frame, Kevin, how long we have to get this done?
You know I'm not going to put a gun to your head and give you a hard time frame. But what we would like to do, we do want to start this in the spring. So, uh-oh, got two of them, I think. No, I don't. We're four.
No, I got a thick one.
6. We would love to get these back probably by mid-December so that we can get plans on the street no later than late January for a February bidding, so that in March, April, we can have them on the street running. So they would have the full summertime and fall to pay, which should be enough time to get this on the street. So that's our plan. So again, y'all have, a few weeks to look at this, get your list down. Look, if you still want to add streets to it, that's fine. But the biggest thing is now all of you are over that funding limit, so it's really more about cutting at this point and trying to figure out what your priorities are. And we would love to ride with you and help prioritize that if you want. I know some councilmen have already called and said, hey, go ahead for sure and pull these off, and for sure I want these on. So we're getting closer. So.
And for the wards that might want to use it for flooding or watershed issues, they are aware of those? Is it listed there?
No, these are all streets right now, so if y'all have any other issues, streets and concrete have been taken into account. What's different about these costs is we've now gone out and assessed how many manholes are going to have to be raised, how many water valves are going to have to be adjusted, broken sidewalk, broken curbs, any ADA ramps on the corners. We put costs to that are more real. Last time we just had a contingency placeholder in there. Now, all of your costs currently, right now, still have a 5% contingency. You'll see it listed and pulled out separately, but we've listed a 5% contingency in there still, just in case bids come in high, unforeseens come up. So historically, we've always been somewhere between 2 and 5% at the end of the project. So I feel safe still leaving that in there.
The price is locked in?
These are our estimates. They're definitely not locked in. So and it's in the letter. So y'all's prices or your numbers are going to move several times. First off, what we have right now is an estimate. Once y'all finalize, one of the things we haven't done is assessed all the striping needs. So once we get into final design, we'll lay out the actual striping and actually put in how many linear feet of white paint, yellow paint, reflectors, all the things, the details that go into it. Right now, there's no point in doing it for all the streets when you're not going to pave all the streets. So once we narrow that down, your number will change again. But again, that's our estimate. Then it'll change again when you get bids. We'll put in this a unit price contract, which is the best way for y'all to get your best bang for your buck. So when we put in that unit price, your number will change again. In the past, knocking on wood again, your numbers have come down. We try, to keep our estimates a little bit high. We never want to be the low bidder, because then everybody has to cut more streets, right? So our hope is the bids come in low, we get to add more streets to it, and we move on. And then the final time it will change is when it actually goes down in the street. What we have found historically, a lot of times our estimates and quantities are also a little bit high compared to what they put down in the street, so then it may come down as well. But it could go over. We've had streets go over as well. So, but we actually you only get what you pay for what you get on these. So we pay by the material that actually goes in the street, which our inspectors track that during construction. So.
All right. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Stafford?
Thank y'all.
Next up, Chief Hughes is going to talk to us about a couple of capital improvements in the fire department.
Mayor and Council, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Before I get into the capital improvements, I did want to let the Mayor and Council know that one of our firefighters, John McWright, lost his brother Tyler in a tragic car accident this past Tuesday in Vicksburg. So if you would, keep him and his family in prayer. I would appreciate that. On the capital improvements, I'm requesting Mayor and Council permission to access the fire insurance rebate monies in the amount of $15,757 to replace the flooring in stations number 3 and number 5. Station 5, as you may be aware, was built in 1981, and although Station 3 was built in 2000, it was lowest bids. The floors in both those stations have deteriorated to the point to where they become safety hazards, trip hazards, slip hazards. I got in contact with Mr. Brad Smith, the State Insurance Rebate Office, sent him in information, and he agreed that the funds could be accessed to repair those flooring. So with Mr. Brigham's permission, we then went and got bids, and that $15,757 is the lower of the two bids. And again, I'm asking for Mayor and Council approval to access those monies to get those floor repairs done.
For us that don't know, Chief, I know you said station number 3 and station number 5.
Yes, sir.
Could you tell the audience where those stations are at?
Right. Station 5 is actually located on Lindbergh. It's the station that was built in 1981. And then Station 3 is located on 31st Avenue. And if you're familiar with that area where old Kmart used to be, located right beside Columbus Municipal School District head office. And that station was built in 2000.
We take this up Tuesday night, or you want to deal with it now?
We can do it Tuesday, yeah.
Okay. I certainly appreciate you allowing me to come before you. And if I need to get information, if you'll allow me, I'll put them in your box with the bid, so you'll have that information before the meeting.
Chief.
Again, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We appreciate you very much. All right, next up, we have representatives from the Golden Triangle Planning and Development District to talk to us about how we can work with y'all going forward with grant support. We've had this discussion before, and we thought it would be good if you could come in and brief us again on what opportunities that we have not been taking advantage of that we should with your organization, and how is the best way to start doing that in the not too distant future.
Okay, great. Good morning.
Good morning.
I have with me George Crawford. He's been a grant writer now for 48 years. I got Phyllis Benson. She has got 36 years experience. Mandy is a new kid on the block. And I got Trey Hamby. He was assistant director at North Delta, and he has 26 years worth of grant writing experience. So you're looking at 109 years of grant writing experience that the PDD has. But what I would suggest is that you talk to Starkville, Lowndes County, Macon, Choctaw County, Mayor Pruitt in Mabon, to see what we do. I think I shared with y'all when we was at the meeting that since 2009 we have had a $1.2 billion worth of impact of economic growth in our 7 counties. I think for Lowndes County, we have brought in like $125 million worth of grants. Y'all have not accessed ARC, since I've been at the district for 33 years, and ARC, is a excellent source of resource for y'all, for water, sewer, things of that nature. We do that every day, but we would love to work with y'all. And first thing we'd like to do is an analysis. It won't cost you anything to see where you are, what kind of projects you're looking for. And that would be our first, come to work session, say, look, what do you need? What are your needs that we can help y'all with immediately? Because Farmers Home, I don't know what your percentage would be, but other counties and cities do that for police cars and other things that will benefit. The money's there. We just like to write the grants and help y'all any way we can.
So typically, when y'all are working with a city or a county, are y'all on location in the city or the county, or do you have folks coming to y'all?
No, we come to you.
Okay.
No, sir, we come to you. Just like if you want to do a CDBG, most time what happens if you have a consultant come in, they charge you for writing the grant. We don't charge you for writing the grant. Most of the time that's a $5,000 to $10,000 fee. We don't do that. We'll come in, we'll write the grant. If it gets funded, then there are admin fees in that, and that's how we get paid.
So if we brought you up to speed on where we are right now with the grants that we're working on and those that we've kind of been eyeing, so in your assessment, you would look at overall what we've been doing and then how y'all can help us move those forward and suggest some things like, have you thought about looking into this area?
Absolutely.
For grants, because there's a lot of them out there and sometimes it's hard to know where they all are.
And if you have some grants out there, we can administer those grants for you. It doesn't make any difference what it is because that's what we do. That's what we've been doing, for 48, 50 years. Because with PDD's been there for 53 years now. So
I know what you're meaning by administer them, but why don't you give us some detail on that so everybody's clear what as far as if you were administering it for us, what all would that mean?
Well, anytime you deal with federal dollars, you talk about federal rules.
Yes.
And as far as I know, since we've been writing grants, we've never had a finding. Phyllis and George and Trey, we cross every T and dot every I. We make sure that we follow the rules and regulations because they don't look good in stripes. So that's what we do. We take it from day one all the way through closing because they're all monitored at the end. And we carry the whole gamut to make sure that y'all get and the money is spent the way it's supposed to be spent.
Jamie or Jim?
George is wearing a striped shirt.
But he's got it covered.
Well, I forgot to tell him my address, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You said you would have to initially do an assessment.
Yes, ma'am.
And is there an assessment fee?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Absolutely not. We want to come in here to help you see where you are and see where you want to be.
Jim or Jamie, do y'all have any questions for? No. Well, we will be back in touch soon and try to and see if we can't schedule a time to begin the assessment process.
That'd be wonderful.
All right.
Good meeting with y'all. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here, guys. We appreciate it. All right. Okay, next on the agenda is the MEMA funding agreement for the Columbus Fire and Rescue Safe Rooms. Thank you all very much.
Good to see you, George. I wear a plain shirt.
Are there any numbers on the back of that? Jamie, are you gonna lead us on the MEMA funding agreement?
Yes.
Okay.
This is for the safe rooms for each. Yes,
Oh.
these are for the safe rooms for each fire station, for 5 fire stations. It has a 25% match. You all approved to apply for this grant back in 2019, May of 2019. They're just basically asking for us to move forward with it. We've been approved recently for it. Now, at the time, the cost of the project was projected at $60,000, but again, this was 2019, so it's likely the price is going to go up. But these shelters are for first responders when they are out, so in between them going out to help others. So it's something that's very much needed. So at that time, we were thinking, or you were thinking that $15,000 would be the city's portion, but it's likely to be more. But they will allow us to adjust this if the cost is more. If it's not, if it's still the same, then it's $15,000. But just wanted to get this to you guys because this is not currently in the budget, so would need you all approval on this.
How many shelter was involved?
It's 5. It's 1 for each fire station.
For each fire station?
One for each fire station. What we're concerned about now is that this price, because they started the grant process in 2019, that this won't cover the cost of all 5. So Jamie double checked with them to make sure that we could seek an adjustment on this to make sure we get all 5. The other option would be to see how many this would get at this price. But I think it would be wise to do an adjustment, if y'all agree, to see what it would cost to have them at all 5.
What size are we talking?
I think they said they hold,
I think it's, is it 12? 12 bodies? 12, yeah, it's 12 bodies.
yeah, 12 bodies.
Those normal sized people though, right?
Yeah,
All responders are normal size.
yeah, 12.
I know y'all in good shape, chief. I ain't got to worry about the fire department. Them old police guys, they the one out of shit.
Oh my God. But yes, about 12 bodies.
I just got this nigga's leg sticking out the door of the
So,
shelter.
do you all want me to put this on the agenda for Tuesday night?
Do you want to keep it on the agenda? I mean, because we don't have to move forward with it at all. It started in 2019, but would you like to have it on the agenda to continue to look at it?
What we would like to know is, how soon can you get the price change and adjustment so we can know what we're looking at?
I'm thinking maybe by not
this
Tuesday's
meeting.
council meeting, but maybe by the next one. So if you want to wait until that time.
Why don't we wait until then? That way we have a better idea about pricing.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
agree.
Okay.
Anybody else, council, any other comments or thoughts? All right. If not, our council meeting will be December the 5th, 2023 at 5 o'clock. Our next work session will be Thursday, December the 14th at 2023, yeah, it will be in 2023 at 10:30. And if there are no other comments, we are adjourned. Thank you.